Good evening, our beloved viewers. Welcome to the 9 p.m. English News Edition brought to you live from RTD channel. Let's begin with the top stories of tonight. The head of state receives an emissary from his Mauritanian counterpart. The Palestinian ambassador Abu Shamsi speaks on the occasion of the commemoration of the Nakba. And on the international scene in Gaza, at the United Nations, Palestinians denounce the Israeli blockade. Those were the top stories, and welcome in our newsroom. At this Thursday morning, the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Magile, received a special envoy at the presidential palace who brought a written message from his Mauritanian counterpart, President Mohamed Ould Al Ghazouani. Adini has the following report.
His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Ghalle received this morning at the Presidential Palace the envoy of the President of Mauritania, His Excellency Mr. Mohamed Ould Al Ghazouani. The Mauritanian envoy received was none other than the Minister of Economy and Finance of Mauritania, Mr. Sidi Ahmed Ould Bouh, who delivered a written message to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Ghalle. The message delivered to the head of state concerned a request for support from the Republic of Djibouti for Mauritania's candidacy for the presidency of the African Development Bank. Mr. Sidi Ould Tah is the Mauritanian candidate for the presidency of the ADB. He is a former president of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa and a former Minister of Economy of Mauritania. It should be noted that 5 candidates are in the running of the presidency of the African Development Bank. They are Amadou Hot, Senegal; Mambiou Samuel Muzile, Zambia; Sidi Ould Tah, Mauritania; Toli Abbas Mohamed, Chad; and Mrs. Chabalala Bejoubele Swizi, South Africa. The election will take place on 29th of May on the sidelines of the ADB annual meetings in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, where the Pan-African institution is headquartered.
And now let's hear from the Mauritanian envoy who is delivering a special message from President Mohamed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazouani to President Ismail Omar Guelleh.
I came as a special envoy of His Excellency Mohamed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazouani, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, to his brother and friend, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic of Djibouti. The message primarily occurs the strong and ever-prosperous bilateral relations between Mauritania and Djibouti. Secondly, the letter conveys Mauritania's request for Djibouti's support in the upcoming elections for the African Development Bank. The Mauritanian candidate is a former Minister of Economy in Mauritania and, for 10 years, served as President of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa. Mauritania and Djibouti are 2 Arab African countries that share a common future, and their strong engagement in regional, continental, Arab, and Islamic organization is a foundation for ongoing coordination between our leaders.
In turn, the Mauritanian candidate for the African Development Bank shares his vision, focusing on key priorities such as increasing funding, reorganizing financial priorities, creating job opportunities, and enhancing infrastructure across Africa. Let's hear it from him.
I am happy to be in the Republic of Djibouti today, my second home. Regarding the question about my vision for the African Development Bank, this vision revolves around 4 main points. The first point is to double or even multiply several times the amount of financing provided by the African Development Bank. Secondly, to recognize African financial priorities and strengthen coordination between African financial institutions. Thirdly, to strive to create job opportunities for youth and women across the African continent. And fourthly, to develop infrastructure and increase the added value of African products. There are 5 candidates from 5 African countries, of course. The number of voting countries is 21.
And during the encounter with the Mauritanian emissary, the Minister of Economy and Finances, Elias Moussa Dawali, spoke to emphasize the importance of the bilateral relation between Djibouti and Mauritania. He expressed his country's support for Mauritania's candidacy for the presidency of the African Development Bank, a support that had already been formalized through Djibouti's sponsorship of this election. Mr. Dawali reaffirmed Djibouti's position in favor of strengthening economic and diplomatic ties with Mauritania, highlighting the common values shared by the two nations, particularly in terms of language, culture, and regional solidarity as well. He also addressed issues of cooperation in the maritime sector, stressing the shared willingness of both countries to leverage their geographical position to develop marine related economic sectors. The minister also discussed the common security concerns faced by both nations, particularly the fight against terrorism, and emphasized the need for continued concerted effort to address these transnational challenges. He finally expressed Djibouti's commitment to supporting Mauritania's development initiatives and further strengthening cooperation in various areas of mutual interest, concluded the Minister of Finances of Djibouti. And still with the national news, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohamed, participated in a high-level meeting on peacekeeping held on May 13 to 14 in Berlin, Germany. The meeting was co-organized by the Federal Republic of Germany and the United Nations. The minister was accompanied by a high-level delegation including the ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to Germany, Yassin Hussein Douali, and senior officials from the Ministry of Defense and the embassy in Berlin. On the sidelines of the meeting, Minister Hassan Omar Mohamed met with the German Federal Minister of Defense. They discussed Djibouti's role as a stabilizing force in the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea region. Both ministers agreed to initiate a dialogue to strengthen cooperation between their respective defense ministries. And during his speech, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with Parliament, Hassan Omar Mohamed, did not fail to emphasize Djibouti's key role in enhancing regional and international security and peace. He highlighted that Djibouti has been actively involved in peacekeeping operations in Africa and beyond for 3 decades and will continue to do so. The minister also stressed the need to reform peacekeeping operations to better address asymmetric conflict and new threats. He further emphasized the importance of unity and cooperation among nations, underscoring that global security relies on collective and coordinated action. He did not fail to reaffirm Djibouti's commitment to working closely with the international partners, particularly with the United Nations, the African Union, and neighboring countries to promote regional stability. In the face of increasingly complex challenges such as terrorism, climate change, and humanitarian crisis, it is crucial to adopt a multidimensional approach to security, he stated. Djibouti is strategically located at the crossroad of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, remains a vital pillar of international peace and security. The minister also highlighted the ongoing efforts to modernize Djibouti's military and the continuous training of its army forces, aiming to respond more effectively to emerging threats. He finally concluded by expressing Djibouti's determination to continue playing a role as a mediator in a regional crisis and to strengthen partnerships that promote a lasting peace environment. Other news on May 15, 2025 at 3 a.m. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim emphasized the importance of military ceremonies such as parades, flag ceremonies, and traditions which showcase the rigor, strength, cohesion, and discipline of the Djiboutian army forces. This took place during the general rehearsal at the Humbuli Technical and Tactical Instructions Center in preparation for the upcoming events on June 6 and June 27, 2025, marking both the 48th anniversary of the creation of the Djiboutian Army Forces and the independence of the country. The chief of the general staff of the army forces visited then the site early in the morning to encourage and assess the performance of the defense and security forces as well. A total of over 1,604 participants were present at the general rehearsal. The movement and ritual were perfectly executed, impressing the general staff, officers, and other observers present at the event. Here is the order of the parade of the general rehearsal to the rhythm of music. The Djiboutian army musical troupe, the flag bearer, the female personnel of the Djiboutian army forces, the Republican Guard, the National Gendarmerie, the Coast Guard, the Arta Inter-Army Military Academy, the Air Force, the National Navy, the Artillery Regiment, the Central Directorate of Equipment, and to the rhythm of their voices, the Headquarters Regiment, the Armored Regiment, and attached services, the National Police, the Rapid Action Forces, the Rapid Intervention Battalion, and the Paratrooper Commando Company. The rehearsal concluded with the remarks from the Chief of the General Staff, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, who praised the performance of the participants and the excellence coordination of the organizers. However, the same guy emphasized that perfection has not yet reached and that effort will be doubled until the day of the parade.
مؤتهي الوادي مركيان عسكري قلا عرليغي نولينا هاي يبقوا قدرتون وقذا حرصاراي مؤتهي الوادي مركيان عسكري قلا عرليغي نولينا هاي يبقوا قدرتون وقذا حرصاراي أرلقوا قمانا هاي تير لاير كذانا هاي.
And let's continue with the national news. As part of his tour in the interior region, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdilli, visited Korangar in Oboho region to assess local healthcare infrastructure and listen to the needs of the community. He was warmly welcomed by local authorities, including the regional prefect Musa Aden Migani, the vice president of the regional council Ahmed Ali Mohammed, the chief doctor of the Oboh region Hassan Ibrahim Mohammed, as well as the local population. The minister praised the work being done on the ground, particularly by the specialized medical caravan that has been in place for 2 days and comprising general practitioners and specialists. It provided a free consultation to hundreds of patients. During this visit, the minister also announced a new initiative, the local recruitment of nurses and midwives in remote areas to provide more accessible and sustainable healthcare services. Two young people from Korangar have already been hired. Finally, a direct exchange with the local elders, women, and youth allowed the minister to reaffirm the government's commitment to bringing essential services closer to all citizens, even in the remote areas. Moving on to Al Sabih now, on Wednesday, May 14, 2025, Hassan Ahmed Ibrahim, the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, visited the Dudubale Al Ausa section of National Road Number 1 in the Al Sabih region. This visit marked the completion of the first phase of rehabilitation work on a 5-kilometer stretch. Upon arrival, he was greeted by the regional prefect Abdul Malik Mohammed Bonayuta and the president of the regional council Sharmake Hassan. The minister was accompanied by his technical team and several key officials, including the CEO of Djibouti Port Corridor Road, Abdi Ibrahim Farah, and the general director of Al Nasri, the company responsible for the construction work. The delegation then inspected the hydraulic work completed at the site and then toured the rehabilitated section to assess the quality of the finishes. Then, pleased with the results, the minister emphasized the critical importance of the national road number 1 for the country's economic development. The RN1 is more than just a road. It is a lifeline of our country. It connects the capital to our interior region and our economic partners, Ethiopia. He also highlighted the strategic role of this road. The Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Hassan Ahmed Ibrahim, did not fail to express his pleasure at being present to celebrate an important milestone in the development of the country's infrastructure. He highlighted the completion of the first phase of rehabilitation on the Dudubale Arausa section of the National Road Number 1, which covered a 5-kilometer stretch. He noted that this achievement was a significant step in improving the road network and enhancing connectivity across the country. He emphasized that the road number 1 was not just a road but the lifeline of the country, connecting the capital to the interior region. On the occasion of the 77th anniversary of the Nakba, the ambassador of the Palestine to Djibouti, Mr. Ruwaid Abu Amsha, delivered a speech in which he discussed the history of the Palestinian cause and reviewed the Israeli violation against the determined Palestinian people. He then greeted the leaders and people of the sister Republic of Djibouti, as well as his own people from the embassy of the State of Palestine in Djibouti. In his speech, he emphasized that commemorating the Nakba is not just an annual memory, but rather an ongoing wound, a living reminder of the Palestinian rights that have yet to be restored. On May 15, 1948, the Palestinian Arab people witnesses one of the greatest tragedies in modern history. Over 750,000 Palestinians were displaced from their homes and 531 villages were destroyed and dozens of massacres were committed against them. They were uprooted and displaced to the far corners of the world. This tragedy illustrates an attempt to implement the slogans of the Zionist occupation project, a land without a people for a people without a land, which is in stark contradiction with the historical and geographical fact that refute this slogan and expose the falsehood and deception of the Zionist occupation's propaganda machine. However, despite all the hardship, the Palestinian people have remained invincible. They have planted the olive tree of their land in their hearts, carrying the stones of their soil as symbol of resilience, and raised the flag above all their wounds. And pursuing his remarks, Ambassador Abu Amsha also praised the Djiboutian government's consistent policy of supporting Palestine, expressing his sincere thanks and gratitude to the President Ismail Omar Guelleh for his unwavering support for the Palestinian cause. He stated, "We extend our greetings and gratitude to President Guelleh, whose guidance has played a crucial role in all forms of solidarity with the Palestinian people in Djibouti. This aligns," he said, with his directive that the Palestinian cause must remain a cornerstone of Djibouti's foreign policy in all international and regional forum. He added that there is a complete harmony between the popular and official position on the Palestinian issue in Djibouti. From the very beginning, he said, of the Zionist aggression against our Palestinian people, particularly in Gaza, Djibouti has raised its voice in support of the Palestinian cause. It was one of the first countries to condemn this aggression and coordinate with several friendly nations, including South Africa, Bangladesh, Comoros, and Bolivia, to submit a request to the International Criminal Court to investigate war, crime, and genocide in Palestine and Gaza. Let's head now to the north of the country, where the Tajura Regional Council hosted this morning a workshop focused on the development of agro-pastoralism, led by international expert Hamadou Adama from Cameroon. The workshop was co-chaired by Mohamed Hamad Abbas, the regional prefect, and Umar Hussein, president of the Tajura Regional Council. A representative from several ministries also attended, including those from the Ministry of Social Affairs, Agriculture and Livestock, as well as Education and Youth. And the workshop aimed primarily at young people, women, and local associations aimed to introduce participants to the fundamental of agro-pastoralism, a promising sector despite the challenges specific to our region. Mr. Adama will work for a week with President Omar Hussein and his team to explore a development solution tailored to the unique context of Tajura. We extend our heartfelt thanks to all participants and to Mr. Hamadou Adama for his expertise and dedication. Let's turn now to the international news, where Palestinians denounce Israeli blockade at the United Nations. Speaking at the United Nations headquarters, the Palestinian ambassador Riyad Mansour strongly condemned Israel for continuing its blockade on the Gaza Strip. Dini tells us more.
The ambassador to the United Nations, Riyad Mansour, criticized Israel for continuing the blockade of the Gaza Strip. Israel began blocking humanitarian aid from entering Gaza after the end of a ceasefire agreement more than 10 weeks ago. Israel has been openly and brazenly blocking humanitarian aid for over 2 months now. This is an artificial famine, said Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations, speaking before the UN Security Council.
And according to the International Labour Organization, 160 million children are still engaged in child labor worldwide. Still with Dini.
Children still work in many parts of the world. The phenomenon affects 160 million children, 79 million of whom work in hazardous conditions, figures published by International Labour Organization. The primary sector employs the highest number of children. About 112 million children work in agriculture, including young children aged 5 to 11, who are particularly at risk. More than 7 million children work as domestic workers, often hidden from view and therefore out of the mind, said Gilbert, Director General of the International Labour Organization.
So that's it for tonight news. Thanks for being with us and have a good time.